to recharge. Going to do a little vlog style follow-up here. So if you remember several weeks, actually a couple months ago at this point, Hyperice reached out to us asking about using some of their products, and we followed up with, hey, let us do a study. So they were gracious enough to send us leg compression, massage guns, and then we did a study for almost 3 months with our members to see how Hyperice devices did with soreness, for our members at least. And we compared leg compression, we compared massage guns to active recovery, and of course a control group. And we compared immediately after working out, we compared 10 minutes after working out, and we compared 24 hours after working out. So our members recorded their data, they gave us all the results, we analyzed the results after the study, and in this video, Corey and I are going to take you through some of the results, some of our takeaways, and really kind of what we thought about the entire product line so far. Let's get into it. All right, let's go over the data. Corey over there is enjoying some of the leg compression. So first of all, let's talk about the products. We typically didn't use and still don't use accessory products or recovery products because the data of them has been inconclusive at best. So we stick with movement, exercise, group fitness, active cool down, active warm up, things like that. That there's an extensive data set for. So we were curious to design, let's call it a case series. So there was no blinding. We knew who was doing the study, who was participating in it. The members obviously knew what they were doing. So there's certainly limitations, and I think that's important to talk about. This was not a controlled, very close study, but it is a good case series because most people that are going to be using devices like these, they're going to be more interested in how it feels and how they feel after the fact, not necessarily measuring very specific data after the fact. So this gave us a good idea, at least how our members would respond. Overall data set was 5 people per group. So we had, again, our groupings of leg compression that Corey's doing back there, massage guns, and then active cool down protocol that we designed, and just a control group where they just hung out and did nothing and then went home after that and then recorded their data afterwards. So let's go through the data set, and then we'll chat about what we thought of devices themselves, how they felt, just the quality of the products. So first of all, leg compression. We had, one of the other things that we measured was RPE, rate of perceived exertion. So we found immediately after a workout, they did leg compression and they measured their soreness, 0 to 10, 0, no soreness at all, 10, the most soreness. And the leg compression group rated their immediate soreness on average throughout the study as 3.9 out of 10. This is their average soreness immediately after the workout. Then they did the leg compression from Hyperice, and they rated their soreness at 3.5, 3.57 to be specific. This is 10 minutes after the workout. So they would use the machine and they would rate their soreness. The massage gun group, immediately after the workout, they rated their soreness at 3.7. 10 minutes after using the Hyperice machine guns, they rated their soreness at 2.81. So that was a drastic change. Was it statistically significant? We'll cover that at the end, but it's definitely a bigger drop between the two groups thus far. Then we had the active recovery that the group did their movements that we prescribed to them. Average soreness immediately after the workout was 2.77. Immediately, or 10 minutes after the fact, soreness was rated at 2.36. So a bit of a drop as well. And then, of course, the control group, we had immediately after the workout at 2.74, and then 10 minutes after the workout was 2.22. And that group, again, sat for 10 minutes and did nothing. And then they rated themselves. So all in all, the 10-minute postmark, the biggest change we saw was the massage guns. Now you might be asking, how do we know how hard they worked? Or what if one group worked harder than the others because the workouts are different every day? And that's where RPE comes in.
So we had to look at RPE because when you're looking at a study, you want all things to be as fair as possible. And if we have 4 groups and one of the group is, quote, working harder than the other ones, that could skew our data. So that's where RPE came into play. We had everyone rate their perceived exertion on the workout. And what you want is some type of similarity between all 3. We don't want it's hard to say, statistically significant difference between the groups for RPE. That one we want the same because, again, we don't want one group feeling like they're working harder than the other because that could impact soreness. In our case, it worked out how we wanted. There was no statistically significant difference in the rate of perceived exertion throughout the study.
When statistical analysis was performed, it was still found statistically insignificant for the RPE. Now, let's talk about the final data piece that's important here, which is the 24 hours, because obviously it takes the body 24 to 48 hours to process what was happening. So thus far, 10 minutes after, same day, 10 minutes after the workout, the massage gun group had the biggest change. Now, what about 24 hours? So let's take a look at that data. So the 24-hour group, the leg compression rated at 3.81, which is, if you remember what we just said, the data for 10 minutes after was 3.5. So it did go up 24 hours. That means that there wasn't much change from immediate or even 10 minutes after to 24 hours. Soreness kind of stabilized. The massage gun, again, this is a little interesting here. The massage gun 24 hours after, if you recall, in the immediate, it went down to about 2.8. 24 hours after, it went up to 3.6. So it had a jump up beyond even baseline immediate numbers, which is kind of interesting that we'll talk about at the end in our analysis. Then our control or our active cool down group was at 2.3 10 minutes after, and then 24 hours later, the active cool down was 2.8. So as well, went up a little bit as we expect the body and soreness to go. So let's compare this to the control, because you might be thinking, okay, great, but what if doing those devices, those tools or active cool down changed how much soreness happened the next day? Maybe let's accept the fact that soreness is inevitable and it's going to happen, but maybe these devices takes some of that soreness level off. So this is where our control group comes into play. So our control group, again, was immediately after the workout was at 2.22. So 10 minutes, or 2.75 immediately, and 2.22 10 minutes after. 24 hours later, the control group was at 2.5. So again, a very minimal increase after the fact. So if we want to analyze this data and take a look a little bit deeper, number one is when we ran it through statistical analysis, shout out to Sydney Stern, our resident scientist that helped us with the data. The data showed
there was no statistical significance between the groups to the control group. It just didn't pan out that way, which is interesting because it even goes against our bias of the active recovery, exercise for soreness, things like that. There was no difference between the exercise group and the control group as well.
So no statistical significance, or at least relevant statistical significance based on the data that we saw. So is there any benefit? Let's talk about that. What we ended up with, and Corey came up with this title, and our member actually came in as we were recording this video, and she said exactly what we were just talking about, confirming this data. She said she was in the massage gun group, and she said she really liked how it felt immediately after the workout, but didn't really feel any effects after or 24 hours after the workout, which really feeds into, supports the data that we saw, that it can feel good after, but it doesn't really change anything. And that's why we came up with the name, Corey came up with the name of Feel Good Gun, because that's essentially what you're buying when you're buying a device like that. It feels good in the moment, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I really like these. Gina's seen me sit here for a long time, just enjoying the compression, and they really do feel good. But
yeah, I'd say between the two, though, our members like the massage guns more than the leg compression.
Yeah. Feedback that I've heard from them was you can target areas easier with a massage gun, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they both feel good. Everyone that we've talked to in our study really liked the products, for sure. They felt good. They felt good to do right after the workout. They felt good during the act of the task, whether that was the massage gun or the leg compression. But as far as the data goes, there was no difference after the fact, the 24 hours. No difference between doing nothing for effect on soreness.
Yep. So the massage guns, you had a small difference, though not statistically significant, immediately in 10 minutes after the workout. Again, the Feel Good Gun helps you feel good in the moment. Next day, no real change. Leg compression, no change really at all between immediately 10 minutes and 24 hours. It's pretty much consistent. But they are quality products, at least in the craftsmanship and in the quality of them. So they're sturdy, they're easy to use. The leg compression is incredibly easy to use. The massage guns hold their battery well. They're just quality made products, which is a bonus. We use them every single day, multiple times a day for several months for the study, and no issues at all. So if you're looking for something quality, if you're looking for something that is a feel good but doesn't really change anything, which we kind of suspected, then certainly these products make a lot of sense for you. If you want actual recovery and change, as with anything, there's no quick fix, there's no easy change. Your body's designed not to change drastically. So time and smart programming. I think that's one of the things that also we should talk about as a potential limitation to the study, is the way we program is very purposeful and structured. So that takes into account, but still comparing the three different groups, it would have made a difference if one jumped out one way or another. So that's it. That's our recovery study with Hyperice devices. No statistical change, but the massage gun did feel good for a lot of people, as we saw 10 minutes after the workout. Any closing thoughts?
I'd say most good studies should admit their biases, which we tried to with the exercise piece. More so into our bias, our gym members were our subjects, and they've heard us talk about certain things throughout their time here. So in theory, they may have had a preconceived notion of how the outcomes should be. So that is a limitation in this study. But if that were a big concern, then the exercise group may have been showed the opposite of that, and it did not. So just things to consider as you're hearing all of this stuff. Yeah, it was good stuff. I've been sitting here for about an hour in these things.
And still enjoying
them.
So thank you to Hyperice for letting us use these products. Again, we were not paid by them. We are not keeping any of these. They're all being sent back to Hyperice today. So again, thanks for sending them over and being very transparent and open throughout this whole process. And if you have any questions or comments, leave it below. Let us know if you use any of these devices and if this data supports or if it's consistent with some of the results that you've gotten. Thanks again. Catch you again on the next video from Recharge.